Hello, hello. Let's begin in child's pose today. From tabletop, from your hands and your knees, just let your hips sink down to rest on some part of your legs. Your head touch the ground, maybe your forehead, maybe one side or the other, and just give yourself a few moments to arrive. We always begin our practice creating a sacred space, creating some stillness and some softness before we begin, or even to begin is another way of looking at it. If you haven't already, let your gaze become a little heavy until maybe your eyes close completely, and just stay here for a few more moments, starting to tune into your breath without trying to change it, control it, alter it, just observing it. Good. When you're ready, unroll yourself back up through tabletop and just start to take some intuitive movements here. Maybe swaying your hips gently from side to side. And now let's take more of an active role in our breathing. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Like you're fogging up a mirror. Inhale, exhale. Inhale through your nose. This time seal your lips, letting your exhale travel back through your nose. I'm just gonna face the camera. You stay in this tabletop position. We're starting to cultivate Ujjayi Pranayama, this victorious breath, as it's translated from Sanskrit. There's an ocean-like quality to it at the back of your throat. There's a cadence to it. And I like to think of it as really bringing energy in all the ways that energize you for vinyasa and that also calm you down in all the different ways that you need when you flow like this. So from tabletop, let's, stay here, keep breathing and take a deep breath in as you let your belly drop and your gaze lift. Maybe you tuck your toes. Exhale, round your spine and then tuck your chin, and you can untuck your toes. Inhale, this is a cow. You might know this. Exhale, cat. It's like a wave. Really tuning into your spine and noticing all the different articulations of every vertebra. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale, round and tuck. And you'll notice, when we take these motions, these shapes in our bodies, our shoulders, they puff out as we round, and then they retract, or they come together as we arch. And that motion of, I like to say, I had a teacher who said, puff out your shoulders. That's called protraction of your scapula, your shoulders. And then bring your shoulder blades together, rolling your shoulders back at the same time, retraction. So this feeling of puffing out your shoulders and then bringing them together. And you can really feel that in cat-cow. Let's start to warm up our bodies too by extending one leg. Let's start with our right. Extend it out behind you, flexing your foot. Keeping your big toe pointed towards the ground so that you can feel your legs stay rotated inwards. And this feeling of lifting up our leg, we can kind of tune into the strength of our leg, any tightness or any space or anything that we're feeling. And this bringing our leg behind us, hip extension. Do the same thing on the other side. That's what it's called, hip extension. So we're using the muscles in our legs, of course, to straighten our leg and bring it behind us. And if you kind of tune into your hips, here you can feel your hips also move back. And that feeling of bringing our leg back would be hip extension. Good. Good. Let's tuck our toes, send our hips back and up, and find that very comfortable, familiar shape of our body. Inverted V shape, downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Shavasana. And here, just start to play a little bit here. So maybe pedal out your feet, breathe into the backs of your legs. Take some weight out of your wrist by sending your arms back and up. Grip the earth with your fingertips. I know that's a lot of different instruction, but it all kind of feels, you can kind of naturally make those adjustments and feel it maybe in a different way or maybe more in a deeper way. Take a few breaths here. That's already one. 2, 3, inhale, and on your exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. I'm just going to take a baby step here so you can see me. Inhale, take a half lift, looking out to the horizon, creating some length in your spine, and then exhale, fold forward. Let your head dangle. Maybe you sway a little bit from side to side. Good. When you're ready, inhale and take that deep breath, and then unroll yourself up all the way through standing. This first time, really articulating that spine again. Standing up, rolling your shoulders back, bringing your shoulder blades together, rounding your arms up, looking up, and bring your hands to your heart. Sama CTE. Let me face you here. Inhale, round your arms back up, and then exhale, drip over to the right, taking a side bend here, feeling your whole left side open up. Come back through center. Exhale, drip over to the right. And here, when we take these shapes of bending, opening up our sides, and then even, let me switch over here, looking up and behind you, arching back, feeling your chest opening up. This is spinal extension. Extending your spine. Good. Exhale, fold forward. Good. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump your feet back, and we're going to lower our push-up. Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower. Roll your feet over. Lift your heart. Another, this lifting of the heart. Spinal extension. Good. Exhale, child's pose. Good. All right. We're going to pretend we've taken a few rounds of Sun A, then moving into Sun B. We've taken a few breaths here in downward facing dog. Good. Good. And step or jump. Float to the top of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Excuse me. Bend your knees, sweep your arms up, chair. Utkatasana. So here, Zip in our core. There's just a micro tuck in our tailbone. And we're bringing energy into the lower halves of our bodies in sun B. Inhale, stand all the way up. Interlace your hands behind your back. Maybe step out so that your feet are hip distance apart, or maybe a little bit more. Inhale as you look up and arch, that spinal extension that we're tuning into, that shape in our spine. And then exhale, and we also in this shape, we can also feel our shoulders coming together, that retraction. Good. Exhale, just to feel the opposite of that shape or that stretch. Let your palms face downwards and then tuck your chin. Good. Here we have our shoulders puffed out a bit, looking down. And we can just tune, if we do this a few times, we look up, palms up, exhale, palms down, tuck. You can feel, we can tune in to our shoulder blades, our scapulas moving. Do this a couple more times. Inhale, exhale. Good. Inhale, palms up, look up. And then from your hips, with a slight arch in your spine for support, we're going to bow forward. Good. Good. Plant our hands, step or jump our feet back. Take a chaturanga, urdhva mukha, adho mukha. That's all Sanskrit. You might not be familiar with it. Chaturanga Dandasana, it's the action of lowering our push-up down. Urdhva mukha is a bit short for upward facing dog. Adho mukha is downward facing dog. We're going to step our right foot forward, plant our back foot, extend forward, and then reach up, warrior A. So here, let's lift our hearts, extend our spine again by creating that soft arch in our spine, lifting our hearts. And then bring your hands into the shape of a cactus. And here again, we bring our shoulder blades together, we retract them, and then we push our hands in front of us and our arms to puff out our shoulders. Let's do that a few more times. Create that. It's like a field goal or cactus. Retract your shoulders, bring them together, push out, puff out, protract your shoulders. Feeling that different action in your shoulders. One more time. Breathe in and out. Good. Good. Okay, from here, we would have moved through a few more shapes to naturally get into the next layering posture. So from warrior A, we would move into warrior A, thunderbolt. And here, our back leg is behind our hips, and we can feel our hips being in that extension, in that shape. Good. Coming to tree as we rise up. This is just kind of our flow to get to our next layering posture. And from here, I would say Buddha squat is even a way to tune into spinal extension. We can lift up, and we can also practice retraction and protraction of the shoulder. Good. Move into pyramid. And then from here, our next layering posture, airplane. So from pyramid, push into, let your hands plant in front of this front foot, tilt your way forward and find warrior 3, or airplane. So here, our back leg floats up, our arms can float to the sides like an airplane, extend forward, or even come to our heart. And here, Look straight down to release our neck. Keep our foot flex, that big toe towards the ground. And we can take these small pulses here, even a couple. I know it's a little challenging, but to feel the extension of our hip. Good. Good. And then from here, I'm just going to change the directions here. So from here, from airplane, we're going to plant our hands back down. This is our next layering pose. From here, come into half moon. So we're going to open up to the right since we're balancing on our left. Our back leg is already floating. Let's reach our right arm up. Here we keep lifting our heart, extending our head, the crown of our head forward, lifting our heart up to the sky. You can feel that spinal extension again as our spine slightly arches. It's just a mini back bend. And if you'd like to, if it serves you, you can bend your floating knee, reach for your floating foot with your right hand, and come into bound half moon. Again, our shoulder blades kind of coming together in shoulder retraction. You can feel spinal extension. Good. Good. Those are our laying postures. I'm kind of speaking outside of class now. And then let's move into our peak pose. So here, camel. So let's come into tabletop on our hands and our knees. Let's tuck our back toes. We're going to create some stability here. Roll your shoulders back and then reach your right arm up as your left hand supports your lower back. Look up and then behind you. And if you'd like to, you can reach for your right heel and then let your left hand come over. This is half camel. Here, our toes are tucked to support our lower back. Our spine, the back bend. Good. Come back through center. Let's try the same thing on the other side. This is half camel. So lift your upper body. Use your right hand to push on your lower back for support. Reach your left arm up. You can stay here if you'd like, looking up, maybe slightly behind you. Or if you'd like to, you can reach your left hand for your left heel and then swing your right arm over, half camel. Good. Windmill your hands back down, come into a child's pose. Maybe even a puppy dog pose where we kind of come into tabletop, keep our tailbone lifted, and extend our arms out, feeling our spine stretch in an arched position. And then for a counter stretch, we can make ourselves into a ball. So working to keep the crown of our head towards the ground and then wrapping our hands behind us, reaching for our heels. Good. Sit up again. We've warmed up both sides in half camel. We are tuning into our hips, our spine, the retraction and protraction of our shoulders. From here, let's try a full camel. So take a deep breath in and out. From here, sit all the way up. You can use your palms to push on your lower back and look up. Here's one variation. You see that we're looking up and then behind. Our spine again is in that extension mode. We feel our whole abdomen being stretched, being open. If we'd like to, we can reach up and reach for our heels. Toes stay tucked, dropping our head, being very careful though, dropping our head. That serves us. Take a few breaths here. Good. You can come back out. And there we go. Child's pose. Okay, so those were our, just to kind of sum up, to be completely honest with you, I'm used to teaching, you know, a normal class. I'm a current yoga teacher, and just trying to pick up the layering postures and teach to them. I'm sure my essence of a teacher might have gotten lost. But just to recap, my peak action, I kind of did the airline movement. We just finished the airline, and so that's kind of fresh in my head. And retraction of the, so all the airline motions of retraction of the scapula, extension of the spine and hips, those were my peak actions. I picked a few. Maybe next time in my final video, I'll just pick one. And my peak pose was camel. And my layering postures were, you know, cat-cow, focusing on the retraction and protraction, chaturangas, so that we can, from chaturanga, come up to an upward facing dog and have that hip extension and spinal extension. I also did side stretches and a mini back bend in Sun A to again focus on spinal extension. In Sun B, we interlaced our hands behind our back and focused on retraction and protraction of the scapula. And then in Warrior A, we had that variation with cactus arms, retracting the shoulders, protracting them. My PTL was really bringing your shoulder blades together, puffing your shoulder blades out. And then part of my standing sequence, the remaining layering poses were in those. So we did Thunderbolt, hip extension and retraction of the shoulder blades. Buddha squat, retraction, protraction, even some spinal extension. Now that I'm thinking about it, I could have added a wide-legged forward fold for just to kind of focus on the hips. I guess I don't know if that's hip extension exactly, but I think that would have worked well to just add that. And then I added airplane for hip extension, and bound half moon, spinal extension, bringing shoulder blades together, retracting them. And then I think I already mentioned camel as the peak pose. So that's that. I'm already giving myself feedback. I'm realizing that I really could have probably just focused on one major peak action, even though those three actions of the airline, they just kind of all go together. So that's why I kept them together. I think in my final video, I would really like to bring it all together and just so everyone has or whoever's watching this really has a sense of how I teach, how I've incorporated the chromatic way, but also just my style, and I would love to get feedback about that. All right, that's it. Thank you.